give you a little preview. Got the nice little holster and a magazine, but I can't show you yet of what I ended up buying because you gotta stick to the end of the video. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Rincey Arms coming at you today with a video to talk about things to know before buying your first gun. But this is gonna be my experiences. Like anything in life, you can only go off based off what you know. So, number one, I think the biggest thing to do when looking for a firearm is to take your time, because there's really no rush. You really need to ask yourself, why is it that I'm getting into this in the first place? Because there's a lot of ways to quote unquote, protect your home. Because that's pretty much everybody's reasoning, as opposed reasoning to get a firearm is like, I need to protect my family, protect what I love, all these things. But there's a lot that comes to it when getting a firearm, because now that's just another risk that you have in your house, whether it's it getting into the wrong hands. You talk about if you have children or when people coming over, you don't want to just leave these things around. So you need to ask yourself, why is it that I'm buying this? You have the right to, your Second Amendment, but just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, because it's a big responsibility. Before I show you guys mine of what I actually ended up going with, just give you a little preview. Got the nice little holster and a magazine, but I can't show you yet of what I ended up buying because you gotta stick to the end of the video. So we'll get into that later. But for number one is to take your time and ask yourself, why is it that you want to actually get into this anyway? Point number two, I would say before buying your first gun, is you need to understand the misconception that the smaller the gun, people think that it's easier to shoot. They be like, oh, for my first gun, I don't want to get nothing too big, because I think the bigger the gun, the more recoil it's going to have, or the more it's going to be jumping. Well, actually, it's the quite opposite. The smaller the gun, the more, they call it snappiness, but that just means like more muzzle rise once you shoot it. So the smaller the gun, the harder it is to shoot. The bigger the gun, the softer and more easy it is to shoot. Also, speaking from experience, I would say be sure to buy what it is that you want as the gun purchaser, because when you're doing this, you're gonna get a lot of opinions, and you also got to be careful of who you talk to and who you really ask about it, because you have people that's real gun enthusiasts, so they'll tell you every single thing about every single gun, or you got the people that have had a gun for, let's say, a couple years, but they only shot it like twice. So even though they have a gun, I wouldn't say they have the best knowledge to kind of tell you about what you should get. But just at the end of the day, make sure you buy what you want. It's cool to get opinions from people you think or you trust, whether it's somebody, a family member that's in the military, or some guy you've seen on YouTube, or even people at your local gun store. And I think getting all those opinions is good, but at the end of the day, this is something that, one, you have to purchase, and two, that you are entrusting your life and to protect whomever it is that you're trying to protect with. Coming up next, we have test before buying. Okay, you can do all the research you want, but you'll never know how that gun actually shoots until you get out to the range and shoot it yourself. So a lot of people don't think that you can actually do this, but at any local gun range, they have a lot of rentals that you can see. So be sure to go up there. Well, actually, you don't even have to drive up there. You can call up there, ask them, do you have, let's say I'm looking for, I'll just say a Glock 19, because that's one of the most popular guns in the world, numbers wise, as far as being sold. You call up there and say, hey, do you guys have a Glock 19 for rental? And they'll say yes. And then you say, okay, cool. You'll go up there. You probably have to fill out a waiver, things like that, and you can test out the gun. Typically, you can test out probably, like, I'll say anywhere from 1 to 3 guns in one session. So if you have multiple that you're looking at and they happen to have it, that's great. You can do that all in one-stop shop. But depending on the range, unfortunately, you probably have to buy a box of ammo too, because they say if you're going to use our guns, you got to use our ammo. So that kind of sucks. You can't just like have a box of 9mm and bring it with you, because they don't, well, one, they don't trust your ammo. I can understand that part. They don't trust your ammo because people may have do reloads or tampered with it before. But in my experiences, if you have like a good relationship with the range, or you be there a lot, or even a membership, they may let you bring your own ammo. But that's all about relationship and the range itself. Every range is different. But you'll go there, fill out a waiver. If it's your first time shooting, they may have you watch a video or give you a little tutorial on how to use a firearm. But if you're going with people you know, or you just have some experience yourself, but you just haven't purchased one of your own yet, they'll just let you test out which firearm you want. And when you're testing it out, I think it's good to see how comfortable you are in shooting it. The handling, like at the end of the session, does your hand hurt, or do you have any kind of soreness of your hand? All those things matter, because you want a firearm that is pretty comfortable to shoot and that you are most well in handling it, because you should be the expert in whatever gun you end up buying. In my experiences, I did a lot of YouTube research as far as what is a good gun to start off with. You'll probably see a bunch of videos on like Glock 19s, or let's see, maybe a Beretta M9, or Smith & Wesson, M&Ps, 2.0s, all that type of stuff. But I think having a purpose for the firearm is probably one of the best decision deciders or decision makers when doing it. If this firearm is just gonna sit at home all day and not really see the light of day unless it's like at a range or in your house, in your closet or something, you should probably get something a little bigger, because you don't have to worry about like concealing it when you're out in public. So if you're just gonna stay at home all day, I would suggest something probably like a full size. And full size is probably like for barrel wise, it's either 4 inches to like 5 or 4.5, but it's really based off the frame. As long as you have a full size frame of the grip, I would say any full size gun, if it's just going to be sitting at home all day. But if it's for something that is going to be concealed, I would say a nice compact size is good. So determining what the use case is, I think definitely helps in determining what firearm you choose for your first. And unfortunately, in this, as soon as you get into the firearm business, you'll quickly understand that it's a learning curve pretty much every day. What you started off doing will change drastically throughout your whole firearm journey, because what my mentality and what I thought I would like when I first got my firearm, as opposed to what I do now, is just totally different. That all comes a part of the journey. You learn as you go. When you're doing your research and stuff, let's say your first time seeing it is like you just happen to see a gun show that's going on in town and you end up going, right? The gun show, all those dealers, they're there to sell you a gun. They don't really, they care about you a little bit depending on if you guess who the seller is, but at the end of the day, they're trying to sell you a gun. So don't let any of the gun show dealers kind of persuade you to buy what you want. It's good to hear them out, ask questions, learn a lot. You can learn a lot from gun shows, but just remember that they're trying to sell you something. And because it's a gun show, it's only going to be there for 2 days, so you really only have 2 days to make the decision, if you even plan on coming back the next. So in that, you may rush your decision on if you want a particular firearm, but trust me, you can find a better deal online if you want to just say, hey, I like that one, but I don't want to buy it yet because I need to shoot it first. Just make sure you get the name, and there'll be some, well, depending on where you live, of course, there'll be some dealer or gun range that can have that gun for you to rent. Same thing when you go into a gun store, even if you're not at a gun show, just don't let them persuade you enough to buy it if you're not even comfortable, or just taking their word for it, because in my experiences, the people at the gun store, they have a lot of knowledge, but they also have that mentality as if like they have all the knowledge, or that nobody can tell them nothing, or they have all the answers and what they say you should do, right? There's been a plethora of time where, and I know that I don't even have all the answers, but there's a plethora of times where I would go and let's say I would say, hey, I'm looking for this type of gun, or they'll say something like, oh, that gun doesn't exist, or like recently I was trying to get some Magpul technical gloves, and the guy behind the counter said that they don't even exist. He said, "Oh, Magpul only sells, attachments and furniture for weapons." So I literally had to go to the website, show him on my phone, and then now he was over there looking stupid, So understand that these people behind the counter, yeah, they know a lot, but don't just take their word for it until you do all your research and you feel comfortable buying whatever firearm that it is you want to buy. Don't even take my word for it, because I want you to even take this video and still go and do a lot more research so that you don't necessarily make the same mistakes that we all did, whether it's buying a gun you don't want, because selling it, yeah, guns hold their value, but sometimes it can be a little hard selling it depending on its condition and what people are looking for. Okay, earlier I mentioned that taking on the mindset, because now that, let's say you made your first purchase and now the gun is at your home, now you have to always have a mindset of, every time I leave this house, there's a potential that unfortunately that someone could break in, and a lot of times when people are breaking in, the number one thing that they're looking for is jewelry and guns because of their resale value, right? So now that you have it at home, you need to secure it in a way that only authorized people can access it. So that would be you and maybe your wife or whomever it is that needs to have access to it in case of an emergency. Now, if that emergency happens, it also needs to be accessible quickly. So you got to understand that only the right people need to have access to it. But in the event that you need to, it needs to be accessible in a manner that it can be used to defend whatever it is that's happening. Because if you have it locked away so bad that you can't even get to it in case of emergency, that's not good either. But that's talk for another video. Lastly, before I get into what I ended up going with for mine, is make sure to train with your firearm whenever it is you get it. After you buy it, it's cool to have it, take pictures of it or whatever, but at the end of the day, since this is yours, you need to be the most proficient and comfortable with it out of everybody. You don't have to be an expert in it itself, but as opposed to anyone else picking up that thing, you need to be able to take it apart and do not like too crazy. You just need to do a regular field strip, but you just need to be comfortable with it, so whenever you pick it up, it's like second nature, in case you're just at the range, or God forbid you have to use it in a self-defense manner, because no one else can do it for you. And like anything, repetition, the more shots down range, the more comfortable you will be when using it at the range or in a self-defense scenario. And the more shots, the better. Now that you made it to this far in the video, I can show you what I ended up going with. So for me, before I show you one little more part, I found this. I didn't even know about this company before buying it. I was actually at a gun show, and I was actually looking at a bunch of Glocks. So spoiler alert, it's not a Glock, so don't go ahead and get that out the way. But I was looking at a bunch of Glocks, like a Glock 17, a Glock 19, a Glock 19X, because it was just peanut butter. That's just a nice color. That FDE is just too clean. But I was actually looking at that, and then when I was picking them up, I had a trouble accessing the mag release. But that was like in the beginning. I didn't really know how to even hold it that much, but I knew that it was kind of hard to access the mag release because of the positioning. And my hands aren't small by no means. I really was just new into the firearm thing, and I wasn't even trying to, honestly, before purchasing a firearm, I wasn't even trying to get into the firearms thing. I just knew that there was a gun show that was happening in my area, and I was like, I just want to go to it just to see what they got. Because at first, I thought that gun shows meant that they were just going to showcase a whole bunch of guns and maybe like shoot them, and we get to see people, handling guns. I didn't know that it was actually like they got tables and you could just walk up and, walk and leave with a firearm yourself. That was just my negligence and not knowing. So when I went there and I saw all these things, I was like, oh man, you can actually purchase? So then I was picking up stuff and things like that. But then when I came across this, as soon as I held it, I was like, wow, this is like molding to my hands. Like when I picked this up, I really felt like I can really, control it, and like that it was a part of me. It sounds kind of cheesy, but the gun literally felt a part of me when I picked it up. It was kind of crazy. So what I ended up going with is this bad boy right here. This is that Walther PDP F. And we are clear, and there's nothing in the chamber. I just got the mag in just for aesthetics purposes, but I ended up going with this Walther PDP F. And of course it didn't start off like this. It didn't have this red dot on it, and actually I ended up changing out the trigger itself. But this is my very first firearm. I'm actually glad I went with it. I didn't end up getting it from the gun show because I just wasn't comfortable at the time. So what I did was I'm gonna put it back in this nice tier 1 holster. I can do a review on that later. It's an appendix carry for concealment, but I didn't actually end up buying it from the gun store that time. What I did was I took it home. Oh no, I didn't take it home, but I went home, did more research, and then found out that this is the one. I watched like a lot of YouTube videos. Like when I really get into something, I'll be watching 100 YouTube videos. Like I'll watch literally every YouTube video that has that title in it or is about it, just so I have the research on it. And it's honestly, it's also just something that I like to do because I don't really watch like TV and all that stuff. I just watch a lot of YouTube, so it's just right up my alley, honestly. Let me get back in focus. The grip, you know how it feels in your hand, it automatically comes with some stippling. It's kind of like this hexagonal texturing. It's real nice. On the slide itself, it has a bunch of like these lines right here. They call them serrations, but they're pretty deep, so that anytime you're trying to grab it, you can just like easily just get up on that, so you can rack the slide. The default trigger that it came with actually was really good, but I just upgraded it to I kind of forgot the name. They're like, let me see what this is called. I forgot the trigger names. It was like dynamic something trigger. I'd be forgetting. It's been so long, but this one just stood out to me. Now the iron sights, you should probably change these out, but since I got a red dot, I didn't really care about it too much, even though I should get them raised so I can see it through through the dot itself. But this one definitely has held me good this whole time, and I do use it for concealed carry, and this is like my main squeeze. Whatever is gonna be like your go-to firearm, you need to make sure that you have the most rounds with it. So eventually, like when you get more firearms, and notice I say when you get more firearms, because after you get one, you're just gonna get another one. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was gonna, because now I have a total of like 4. But I'll do a review on all those in videos to come. But yeah, when I first got it, I only thought I was gonna do one, and I thought I was just gonna have it sitting at home, and you know, just in case type stuff. But you know, as you're shooting it and things like that, you'll probably get a love for just I would say the sport of it. But you know, safety first is always my #1 thing. I'll do a more in-depth review of the Walther and other stuff in other videos, but those are just I'll say my top things to do as a first-time buyer. If I would have known like half of the stuff I was saying, I wouldn't say I would have not gotten the Walther, but it just would have been an easier time for me in order to purchase. That's all I got for this video, but until next time, that's it. Peace.